I think perhaps with some people, not all, there's a kind of a historic fear of buying off plan on the Costa del Sol.
Hello there, my name is Julian Fuller of Mitchell's Prestige Properties, and I'm going to introduce my colleague Tim.
Good morning, Julian. How are you today? You okay?
Yes, very good, thank you.
Excellent.
Very good. Now,
Excellent.
you're a senior property consultant here, and you've been with the company now for...
I've been working with Mitchell's and IPP Spain for 7 years now.
7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a really good spell, and I think why we're here today doing this video is because you've recently been through the process of buying off plan, and we thought this would be really good to assist many of our clients in just getting a little bit of, I guess, real info of what this process involves and how it works. First of all, when buying off plan, can you walk us through like the reservation and the contract phase?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think this is a great case study because as agents, experienced agents, we often forget what it's like to be in the shoes of the client. And in this case, yes, I was the client, and I invested quite early in a project which I felt ticked all the boxes in terms of location and amenities and capital growth, and had the potential to either be sold post completion or perhaps even rented. For holiday rentals, for winter rentals, or even for long-term rentals. So I just felt as though, strong developer, great location, great opportunity for growth, and that's why I went for it.
Okay.
As well as one of my colleagues investing in the same project.
I see. So
corroborating my, my decision making. In terms of the reservation process, very, very straightforward. I went through the money laundering KYC process, which is essential, and every developer will ask that of the client, to explain origin of funds, where the money's coming from, etc. So very, very simple to get through that. And then, of course, the reservation itself followed, the formal reservation. So in my case, I believe it was a €6,000 reservation that was sent to a developer's account. And then from there, there was a payment plan moving forward. The payment plan really appealed to me because it meant that I could stagger payments over a couple of years, utilising funds at different times without putting everything in one go. So the payment plan was advantageous for me. In this case, if I remember rightly, it was 20% at private contract, always plus the VAT, obviously, because you're buying a new product here in Spain. It was 10% at a slightly later stage, a few months later, and then the balance on completion.
Okay, so that's great. That gives a really good feel for the structure and the timeline. You say really all this has been over about 2 years, and between reservation and private purchase contract, what was the
I think
timeline
it was
there?
about 2 months.
About 2 months.
Yeah,
all
about
right.
2 months.
So that gives lawyers it's sufficient time, and also people to maybe get those funds in place. Yeah,
correct funds in place. I worked with an excellent lawyer who was obviously overseeing the contractual side of things. I was very lucky the development, finished on time, but in general, a community of apartments like this, of this size, would take approximately 2 years to build from start to finish.
Okay. How was the communication between the developer and the lawyer?
In my case, excellent. The developer had a promotion team on site with their office, where, because I'm lucky that I live here, I could drop in on all the time, probably much of their annoyance, and just ask them how the project's going, get updates, look at the progress, all of these things. But this is something that we do for our clients because we're here on the ground. The clients are most of the time abroad throughout the build phase. And so when I'm working with a client who has invested in a new project, it's something I do on a regular basis. Go and see the sales team, go and take videos and images of how the construction is progressing. And this is vital, and this is why it's so important to have an agency acting in your best interest when it comes to buying off plan or under construction at an early stage.
Certainly, exactly that. And many people don't appreciate just how important an agency is when dealing with a developer, I think. But so going back to the lawyer, how thorough was the due diligence, and were bank guarantees provided clearly?
Yes, I mean, bank guarantees, definitely. The developer had a bank guarantee in place to safeguard my funds. I also chose this project because, this is a really valid point. This was a really strong, and is a very strong developer with a fantastic track record of delivering on time, of delivering quality products. And so really from the beginning to the end, I felt completely confident that they would deliver, for me, a fantastic product come the end.
Yeah, and I think we all have that kind of knowledge within the industry of who you get that feeling from. So once again, it's great that you can put that across to clients to assist them. Now, what was the mortgage experience like? The valuation, documentation, the timelines. Did you use the developer's bank or did you do your own?
No, I actually I went for a mortgage independently of the developer. I mean, again, at the agency here, we're very lucky. We have an amazing network built up over, in Dixie's case, 22 years. And as I say, I've been with the company 7. So over the years, we have an established and trusted network of bankers, of lawyers, etc., etc. And in this case, the mortgage process was extremely smooth. Yeah.
Good. And you was kept up to date throughout the process? Continual
updates, excellent communication via WhatsApp, via email, I would say really personalised. And I think that's so key and that's so important. And when clients are abroad, it's so important to have that communication because there's nothing worse than silence, right?
Were there any spec changes or?
In my case, no.
And
in
no
my
delays?
case, no.
Nope.
With some developments, at a certain point, you can obviously choose, for example, the flooring.
Yep.
Or modify the bathrooms, things like that. But in this case, no, it was very much straightforward. This is how we're going to deliver, and they did deliver, and the qualities are excellent.
Okay. What issues came up in snagging, and how, and if there were any, how responsive was the developer?
Yeah, of course. In terms of the snagging, I had an appointment pre-arranged. I met the promotional team. They had their kind of on-site foreman there, and I also took a friend of mine who's a builder. He's an excellent tradesman, and we went and we looked at the apartment together with my wife. And again, so fortunate because there were a couple of really tiny things, a bit of resealing something in a shower tray. It was flagged up, it was noted, and then I went back, I think 2 weeks later after it had been fixed, and I mean the handover was excellent. The condition of the apartment was great, clean, tidy, super
Fabulous.
Informative, brilliant.
Just as you'd want it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Take us through the handover then, step by step. Were there any surprises at completion?
No. In fact, I was pleasantly surprised. The handover by this developer, who Amara Marcosta, was just second to none. They were at the notary to support and advise, and immediately after the notary, we went back to their offices on site at Amara Marcosta, where we were given a pack with all of the information for all of the appliances, total a pen drive with all of the paperwork, the keys, everything. It was presented so professionally, it's unbelievable. Very lucky.
Yep, very good.
Very
and
lucky.
Post-completion admin, so this is when things like community fees or you're having to put towards the community early on.
Yeah.
IBI, utility setup, who helped with all that?
Yeah, a combination really. You've got, obviously, when you have a good and experienced lawyer on the coastline, they will start to set up the electric and the water contracts, which is great. It does take, at times, 2 or 3 weeks, but you have to bear with it and get there in the end. And of course, there is an administrator appointed to manage the community initially. And they've been great. We'll have an AGM soon and vote on certain items. So yes, there's an administrator in place now, which is great to run the community for the new owners.
Good. So nothing's left to chance. Everything's in hand.
No. Yeah.
How responsive has the developer been after completion? Is there a warranty in place or process? Has there been any need for it?
There hasn't been any need for it, but there is a 10-year guarantee in place because it's a new build.
Yep.
So I have that 10-year guarantee in place. But no, if I need to get back in touch with the developer, and I think there's been a couple of small things since, they've been super responsive straight away.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. So post completion services have been excellent. Yeah.
What would you say buyers most commonly misunderstand, if that's the right way to put it, about buying off plan, and what's your advice for foreign buyers?
I think perhaps with some people, not all, there's a kind of a historic fear of buying off plan on the Costa del Sol. You know, people will perhaps regale stories of 20 years ago when, you know, projects weren't delivered at all. But these days it's very different. Of course, you've got to do your due diligence. And again, it's why an agency is so important. The agency is the middleman, the buffer between the developer, you know, and the client. Acting in your best interest, communicating, as I say, you know, visits, all of the above. But these days, you know, very different. Again, you choose your developer wisely. You work with your agent and discuss and back and forth regarding who the developer is. But no, things are very different these days. Developers should have a bank guarantee in place, of course.
Yes.
Which perhaps wasn't the case in the past.
Yep.
But there are some super projects on the Costa del Sol by some fabulous developers.
Absolutely, and up and down the coast, really.
Yeah.
So has this experience changed how you sell off-plan properties? Are the developers in this area delivering on their promises too?
It's been a great case study for me personally. It's put me back in the shoes of the client, which I think is important because, you know, when you work as an agent for a long time, you perhaps see things slightly differently. So having gone through the experience and it being so positive, it's reinforced perhaps the way I work in the future. You know, the mortgage process, for example, it's very comprehensive. You have to submit, me and my wife, a lot of documents. You have to be patient. It's very thorough, but it should be thorough. And that's the same with the money laundering. You know, it should be thorough.
Yes.
So no, from start to finish, super impressed. Yeah, moving forward in the future, looking forward to helping more clients invest in some fabulous projects up and down the coastline.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that input today, and
You're welcome.
I think that is very helpful and should give our clients a lot of confidence, but it also shows the importance of having an agency represent you with a developer. I think that the experience of the consultants working within our agency is second to none. So if you have any questions about buying off plan, please get in touch. We'll be more than happy to assist you through that process, or at least looking at what's involved. And we hope to hear from you. So this is Julian and Tim from Mitchell's Prestige Properties. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.